Greetings. Welcome. It is I, Jeff, your host this evening for This Week of Gear Report. This Week of Gear Report. That's hard to say sometimes. The show where we talk about everything that was published since the show last week. Not everything, some things in the upcoming review queue, and then a generous helping of the most popular segment that we have ever had, which of course is shit shooting. So today, what can you expect in today's show? Lots of witty banter and whatever we want to talk about. We've got a lot of cool products that have arrived here at Gear Report headquarters. Oh no. And of course the beer that just overflowed on my desk. That's a good way to start a live show with alcohol abuse right there in front of everyone. All right. That'll teach me, all of one or two beers every couple months. And of course, I overflow one on my desk on camera. Okay, the show can only go uphill from here, folks. Let's hope. Speaking of going uphill, we were supposed to have my medic on to chat this evening, but unfortunately got a note from Zeph saying, I'm so sorry, a family emergencies come up, I'm not going to be able to make it. So that leaves us without a brand to speak with again this week, which is kind of cool because we didn't have much time to just talk about what we wanted to talk about with an endless stream of, not endless, 15 or 20 brands in a row coming on the show. So we get to chat about whatever you guys want to talk about this evening. Let me look at oh, wow. That is a new one. Gizzard Gary is first. So I'm going to ask a favor from everyone out there. Let me know. I shelved my bougie microphone to try out a new one that just came in. And honestly, I requested it for review just because I thought it looked cool. So I've been using this.
It sounds like there's a helicopter flying above. I don't know. It's not like static, but it's like a. I'm not sure. It sounds like a freaking CH-46 is flying over.
All the time?
I would say about 75% of the time. It's not all the time. At least I can't hear it all the time. But when it does happen, I can definitely hear it. It's not static. It's just kind of. It literally sounds like there's a helo flying over.
Okay, is it? You see the little light blinking here? Is it in that same kind of pattern?
Possibly, yeah.
All right. Well, I may switch to the other mic here. Okay, so Ozzy and Gizzard are out there. Please let me know if you're hearing this as well. If you guys aren't hearing it at all and everything sounds fine, Gary says I can hear it. I don't know if I'm assuming I can hear it. I'm assuming it is the helicopter sound. So if you can clarify that, if it is a helicopter sound, then I'm going to switch back to the TZ Stellar X3, which does not have those kind of issues. Or one of the other mics that I have randomly scattered around the studio. So, yeah, I'll wait for clarification on that. So, yes, I can hear a helicopter sound fairly clearly. Okay, so that makes a good time to introduce this guy over here. That would be Trey from Ghost Tactical. So, welcome to the program. If you don't mind, I'm going to put you on the spot to entertain people for the minute or so.
You're going to make me dance, aren't you? You're going to make me dance.
I'm going to request. Yeah. All right.
No, it's thanks for having me as always. And my name is Trey with Ghost Tactical. For those that don't know me, that's cool. I write for Gear Report, Gear-Report.com. I also have my own YouTube channel that we do some really bad videos and crappy podcasts. So if you're interested in the bottom shelf entertainment style of the gun community, by all means, check that out. But more importantly, check out the reviews over at Gear Report. We do mostly firearms. I do mostly firearms and firearm accessory type things. So I don't do any sailing. I don't do any camping, anything like that. So all that. I am really trying to waste as much time for Jeffrey as I possibly can. Um, he's getting there. He's getting there, folks. He is getting there. But no, and as far as Jeff, I don't know if you can still hear me, but the sound wasn't terrible. It was just, it wasn't like overwhelming your voice. It was just like background. It literally sounded like there was a helo flying overhead. But it wasn't like overwhelming the sound, but it was definitely noticeable.
Check. Okay.
You're good.
So no more sound in the background?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Okay, so what that suggests to view stuff, right? So that mic that I had right here was actually sent for review. And instead of running it through my normal audio interface, this is a dynamic mic that does not require 48-volt phantom power. This is a condenser mic that does require phantom power. So I was running this, the new one, through an XLR to USB cable that I've been experimenting with to see how well that would work. You know, XLR at one end, USB at the other, and apparently that pulsing sound you guys were hearing seemed to be in about the pace of the light in here. I'm wondering if there wasn't some sort of, you know, I better know what it was. I bet that my little micro PC wasn't putting out enough power to support that mic, because
maybe.
I'm running a USB splitter, not a powered USB splitter. So I think that's something I'm going to have to upgrade to here shortly, is something that can provide extra voltage for the USB. So thank you for introducing yourself. I am going to take umbrage with some of what you said, though. It's been pretty good, like for a while, but lately it's been very entertaining. So I know you're being humble and selling yourself short there, but Ghost does really good videos, and his thumbnail game has been off the charts lately. And let's see, people out there saying hi to each other. That's nice. And writing's been getting better too. You're like the total package lately, and it's actually giving me a bit of a
say
complex.
that again so my wife can hear it, because she doesn't believe that.
Yeah, if you'd like it in writing, I'm willing to send it in writing as well.
Fantastic.
You know, whatever it takes. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So we see, if you ever wondered what it's like to have products sent to review, this is the kind of thing that happens sometimes. You plug it in, you hope it's going to work, and maybe it works right, maybe it doesn't. I'm going to assume that was operator error on my part. I did some testing earlier with Audacity. Do you ever use Audacity?
I do, yeah, sure.
Recording program? I didn't hear anything in Audacity. So as far as I could tell, this where's the top of it here? This Carol, what is that? The CLM 101. It's all washed out. Actually sounded pretty good when I tried it earlier. So
well, your audio sounded great. It sounds better than the one you're using as far as clarity of the audio. It just had that, like I said, that sound effect to it. But when you talked, I mean, it sounded really well.
Yeah, I probably should have tried plugging that into this other cable, just turning the power, the 48 volts off. Anyhow, I don't want to lose our audience. This isn't the stuff we don't normally talk about, like pro audio stuff. So I don't want to get too distracted and go down that road. But you know, since we had a late cancellation of our guest and didn't actually have a lot set up to talk about, that gives us some freedom to kind of dive into some other things. So Ryan Todd, good to see you. And I think that since Ryan's here, I will mention I have looked at my Humvee every day and said, you know what? Maybe this evening I'm going to go out and work on it. I've got some projects I'm partway through on, some other projects I haven't started. I mean, I probably have 50 projects waiting, and 48 of them are things that brands have sent for me to review, to install on the Humvee, to do write about them, do videos, all that kind of stuff. And and I've just been too busy because everyone should be familiar by now with oh, sorry. I wanted to see what Gary was saying here. Yeah, I'm going to keep playing with that. Maybe next time I'll try the new mic through the regular audio interface, the USB audio interface, and not use that converter cable. But anyhow, if you watch our YouTube, you'll have seen lots of shorts lately where I am going to the warehouse and loading up my portable castles, the big military tents, the HDT BaseX tents. I've been loading them. I was loading them in the Humvee, and I actually kind of hurt my back a little bit because they are heavy. Like the big ones are almost 400 pounds, and I was putting it in the back of the Humvee by myself, and it was just a little more strain than my back could deal with. So I borrowed a trailer from Jose Juan, who has not been on the show in a little while, but Jose Juan let me borrow his little trailer, and I brought a few more tents home that way, still loading them by hand. And I finally just sent a note to the landlord and said, listen, these were all brought in with the forklift. And now you're telling me I can't use it. I already jacked my back up. If you want these out of here so you can rent to someone who's going to pay more than me, then just leave the door to the forklift unlocked and go to lunch, and I'll take care of it. And they grudgingly said, okay, talk to the guy in charge of that. And they said, I don't have a forklift operator's certificate, so I wasn't able to operate it. I'm like, I operated it to get everything in here, to move everything around. I'm actually pretty good with a forklift. And they said, well, sorry, you can't. Um, I looked into it, and it was going to cost 50 or $100, depending on which way I did it. And I honestly came real close to doing it, but I thought about it, said, you know what? Last couple times that I used the forklift, the guy had mentioned that the boss had told him he wasn't supposed to let me use it, at least not without charging me for it. And he's like, just don't tell anyone. So now that there's a new owner in place, um, and they were saying, no, you can't. So I get there thinking he's going to have to drive, and I'm going to have to pay him for driving the forklift. And he says, okay, you good? Just text me when you're done. And he turned and walked out. So all of this hassle, I've spent weeks driving, loading one tent in the back of the Humvee at a time, driving it home, unloading it. It has been an incredible bear, physically exhausting and grueling. And then come to find out, the guy in charge at the site couldn't care less that they told me I couldn't use it. Like, whatever. He knows I know how to use it. So yeah. So anyhow, I got it almost done today. And there's one tent and one or two crates left to get out of the building. And the battery on the forklift ran down, and I had to go plug it in. I said, all right, I'll be back to do it tomorrow. But that means I've got a dozen of these tents in my backyard under a tent. So if anyone wants one, look at the prices on here, cut them dramatically, and send me a note with an offer that is a fraction of what's on here. Chances are, as long as you're willing to come get it out of the yard, or pay the freight for it, we can make a deal, because I want these out of my yard. So I know,
and I'm sure your boss wants them out of the yard as well.
Yeah. So that's not the best negotiating tactic, to put all my cards on the table and say I want them gone. But
At
I'm
this point, what the hell, huh?
Yeah, I'm not here to negotiate at this point. I need to get them out of my yard. So anyhow, what else we have going on here? Oh, Ryan is installing a Black Dog Customs hardtop tonight. So Black Dog Customs, um, you may or may not remember, was on the show probably a year and a half ago. Actually, I don't think it was at This Week at Gear Report. I think we did a special episode just to interview Mike Vaden, who runs Black Dog Customs. And if I'm not mistaken, he makes fiberglass tops for the Humvee that mimic the steel or aluminum tops that the military uses. So he's got a really good reputation for making high quality stuff that's easy to install and holds up well and is expensive but fairly priced. So yeah, I'm gonna Ryan, send us some pictures, or if you want to come on next week and talk about it, or uh, whatever. Yeah, I would be interested in seeing what kind of top you got and how that install went. That's pretty cool. All right, TJ sent me a Facebook message, said that he is almost here. So he had they must be in the playoffs with kickball, because he said they won the first game and they were expecting to get smoked on the second game. So we shall see. All right, good. So anyhow, I've been looking at the Humvee when I walk past it and hadn't been able to get to any of these because I've been so worn out after moving these tents in the morning that I was like beat the rest of the day. But I do feel like I'm getting a little bit in shape, which is good because I got a call a few days ago that a friend of mine, the other show that we do regularly is I say it's sponsored by Gear Report and runs through the Philmont Trek Talk Facebook group mainly for adults that are taking scouts to one of the Boy Scouts of America high adventure bases called Philmont Scout Ranch. And so one of my friends from there called and said, "Hey, one of our adults is probably bailing on us, and um, we can't replace him on short notice. Can you be ready to go with us in 3.5 weeks to do a 2-week backpacking trip in New Mexico?" And I said, maybe. So hopefully, I'm going to take Wilderness First Aid next weekend and CPR because both of those have expired for me, and that will check all the boxes for me to be able to go, except money. I'm gonna have to sell some stuff. So buy some tents, or if you see any guitars back here you like, shoot me a note. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure I want to sell any that are behind me, but I have plenty that are going to be listed in the next few days for sale to get some cash flowing to finance my backpacking habit.
So, for those out there that might be watching or listening, I think I pretty much know what it is, but I was going to ask you for myself also. When you say a wilderness first aid class, what all does that entail? Is it different than a normal first aid class? I mean, it's specifically for outdoor stuff?
It's oddly enough, it's exactly what it says. Which I know things aren't always perfectly descriptive, but so the idea is if you're in the wilderness, to be in the wilderness, the definition kind of is that there's no one else around, right? You're not wilderness. Wilderness typically isn't going to have greetings, TJ.
How's it going?
Wilderness is not typically going to have access to easy access to roads, to medical care, to any of that kind of stuff. So wilderness first aid, the idea is, even though we may not be like an EMT or a wilderness EMT or anything like that, we are the first responders responsible for getting people out of the backcountry to whatever higher level of care they need. So for these treks at Philmont, every crew is 8 to 12 people, two of which are adults and the rest can be youth, usually 3 or 4 adults. And at least 2 people have to have wilderness first aid training so that when injuries happen, if injuries happen, there are people equipped to deal with them and keep someone from dying on the trail before you can get them out or get medical care into them.
So is it a different? And I'm interested in this because it's something I would probably actually enjoy. But is it something to utilize the outdoors? Whether it's how to sterilize river or creek water to clean a wound? I mean, is it stuff like that, or is it just basic first aid?
It's first aid. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to best define the scope of it. It really hones in on statistically what are the most frequent injuries that people have when they're in the
Twisted
backcountry.
ankle, stuff like that.
It can be something like that.
Okay,
It can be a broken leg with a bone sticking through, or
sure,
it can be someone fell down and landed on a stick that impaled them somehow. It
gotcha.
can be any number of issues where people are mobile or immobile, or conscious or unconscious.
Does it deal with like burns and all that? Maybe around a campfire burn or
And
something like that? Cool.
absolutely,
It
yeah.
sounds really interesting to me. I mean, I know it probably might sound boring to others, but I mean, that's kind of the stuff that's kind of interesting to me.
So to be honest, I know you've done a little bit of this as well, and TJ and I have talked about it quite a bit. We went through this first aid kit a week or two ago and looked at everything. I am collecting trauma pack first aid kits, all
Oh
different
yeah,
types of first aid kits. Pretty much, I was going to say any brand that is offered, I've said yes, send it. That's not true. I've still turned down 2/3 of what's offered just because I don't have time to get to everything that I'd like to. But all of our vehicles have pretty intense first aid kits, not the little Walmart one with just band-aids, but like we have chest seals and tourniquets
yeah.
all over.
Trauma
Um,
kits more or less than first aid kits.
right. So I think that generally speaking, it doesn't matter what you do, especially, all of us that spend time at shooting ranges and around things that go bang, there is potential for either negligence or equipment failure or whatever for people to end up in a really bad situation where if someone doesn't act appropriately and almost instantly they're dead, they're going to bleed out and die right there. So anyone who spends time in that environment, I think you owe it to yourself and the people around you to at least get some training on how to deal with some of those things. And I think the one I hear about the most in the firearms community is the stop the bleed training, which I think we cover a lot of that stuff in wilderness first aid because clearly, if you're in the wilderness, you if you can't stop the bleeding, they're going to die because there's no
Absolutely.
medical facilities around. It's like whatever you have with you, you have to. At least if you're at a shooting range, there's a chance that someone can be there in 5 or 10 minutes. If you call 911 right away, when you're 23 miles from the nearest road, you got to solve it with what you have with you.
Absolutely.
So that's what we work on there. But I would encourage, where I was going with this, I would encourage everyone to go visit the brands. Like, I'm not even going to be mad at my medic for standing us up. See, this is twice that Zeph has canceled with the same. We have a family issue I have to deal with.
He may have issues. Who knows?
He may, and if he does, I feel for him. I don't want to say anything bad about him because he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And who interviewed him recently? Was it Clover or was
Clover,
it?
yeah. Ironically, he canceled on Clover the first time too, and then came like the next weekend. Was a great interview. It really was. It was an awesome one.
He was.
But yeah, he
Super
and they
nice
have great
guy.
products. I love my medic stuff. But yeah,
Super nice
he
guy.
canceled
They
on
make good
Clover the
stuff.
first time also. I don't know
Yeah.
what the excuse was, but it was last minute.
Yeah. So, but they're a good company.
They,
Through the things that I do with that Philmont group, we actually put together a custom backcountry first aid kit that was designed for Philmont treks. And that was a collaborative effort between Suncoast Wilderness First Aid, that's a training company in Florida, and North American Rescue, one of the absolute top medical equipment, kit providers in the world, in my opinion, and Gear Report. So the three of us came together to design this, and then North American Rescue build it and sells it. So we actually have a co-branded. It's the only like co-branded product that we have that isn't something that I made up. You know, I say that TJ made these shirts, so that we made up. So
That was a
that's
collaborative effort.
cool. Yeah, well, these are you. You know, the new logo design a couple years ago, that was all you, and you clearly have a better eye for that stuff than I do. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right, Flying Rich out there with the appropriate number of yos. Oops, I clicked him and then got rid of him. And also, where's TJ? Oh,
I'm right here.
I know it. I know it.
I had the double header of kickball. Sorry.
He's trying to dig.
Please don't make it sound like you had a double header of an athletic event. It's adult kickball. Let's be honest.
Listen, we had a 6 o'clock game. We won. We had to wait an hour, which required some beverage consumption to hydrate, and then we had to play another game at 8.
That's a lot of drinking,
dude. It was like a lot. Like, you don't see me with a beer right now because I've had enough tonight.
So like the two sports that I know that are synonymous with adult beverages is bowling and slow pitch softball.
Screw those guys. Kickball's where it's at, man.
So you're saying to me publicly that you feel that competitive kickball, is it as cool as dodgeball, or is it a step below dodgeball?
Probably right below dodgeball. I would love to have a competitive dodgeball league where I could hold my beer and have my cigar in my mouth and pelt people. But kickball, I can do that. Dodgeball, probably not.
So could you still call it competitive if you could hold a beer and smoke a cigar while playing that sport? Is it really a sport? I mean, let's be honest. It's more of a pastime.
It's for old drunks. It's for older drunks. It's fantastic. Oh, Jeff.
Uh-oh.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted you all to know that I had something to say here. I've been a spectator at one of these games, and I would admit that I understand where the characterization comes from. That I'm not going to go with incredulity. He wasn't incredulous about it being a sport, but let's just say a little bit of doubt as to whether it's a real sport.
It's competitive.
Throwing golf under the table here too. Interesting.
I do drink more beer while I'm playing golf, though.
Yeah, but
I've never had a drink on a golf course.
Almost double.
So anyhow, what I was going to say is there were some people that were clearly just there for the games that I saw, and I believe it was multiple games. There were some people who were clearly just there for the beverages.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were competitive, and there were some athletes. There were not just mathletes. I mean, like real athletes.
Yeah.
And athletic performances. I don't want to say I was surprised, but I kind of was a little bit surprised. It was worth going to.
You have a team, and there's like, there's like me, where I'm an ex-college athlete, and there's still kids that are competitive versus the people who just want to go out and like, yeah, I want a team, and we'll have some fun, and we'll pelt people and do stuff like that. So you have like a good mix. Yeah. Like me, Killian, we've got Ethan, and a couple other guys that are, we're diehard, and then the other people are like, we had fun.
I mean, it's fun. I'm not trying to bring you down off your pedestal, but you realize this is a game that 6-year-olds play at recess, right?
They don't play like we do. I would murder a 6-year-old. I'm just saying. If a 6-year-old would not make it down the first baseline, I would just help him.
That's fair. Okay.
If he was to play in our same league, just saying, I would not technically murder him, but I would pelt him with the ball.
You wouldn't intentionally murder them. You may pelt them in a way that ended up with it.
Yes.
Anyhow, so
they would see ground, sky, ground.
Yes, I'm going to argue that the fact that kids play this at elementary school means that raises the bar. I mean, think about it. But think about it. Do they play it any less? Think about it. When you learn something as a little kid, it stays with you. You develop skills at a level that if you pick it up as an adult, you may never get there. You can work your adult life. This is like hockey. I played hockey for 12, 13 years. I started when I was 30. And I got to be pretty good, not great, but for someone who picked it up when he turned 30, I got to be pretty good.
Yeah.
But some of those guys who played as kids, they did stuff without thinking about that I couldn't do even when I thought about it.
And
and
they
made it look
basketball.
easy.
I've been playing basketball since I was like 4, and I'm a different animal on a basketball court. It's disturbing. For as old as I am, I'll still take people to the rack.
I understand.
Good.
I want to play.
All right, so let me show you, since we're talking about reviewing stuff and how.
What do you got?
How sometimes you get stuff to review. You missed the helicopter effect that my new fancy looking old school mic was making.
That is awesome.
I think I know why, but anyhow, you missed that. Another thing that came in today, this is a laser module for the laser engraver.
Ooh.
So this is the one that came on it, right? This is the stock part that says it has an output of 5 watts, an optical output of 5 watts. This has 2 5-watt LEDs in it, which is an optical output of 10 watts, twice the power. I was so pumped up. I was so pumped up. And then I noticed that the connector on the stock one has 4 pins, and then the aftermarket has 3 pins. And I looked closely, and this one needs a 24-volt input, and this has a 12-volt input. So I was like, son of a bitch, it ain't going to work.
Dang it.
So, that was going to allow me to do some additional things that I can't do now. So, but that was a review item from Amazon, and I sent them a note, said, hey, I messed up. I requested this to review. It showed up. I realized it's incompatible with my machine. I can't review this. Send me a label. I'll send it back so someone else can review it. And they said, we've removed it from your list, so you won't be, I have to pay tax value on stuff. So they said, it won't count against your reviews. You don't have to review it. So basically it just said, don't worry about it. Keep it.
eBay.
So now I got to sell it or get a better controller that will run 24 volts and that could work.
For some reason, I see that happening in the future. I think that there's an upgrade coming.
I want to be able to cut more stuff. And I got this pump too. This is an air pump, which I think it may be made for like fish tanks. I don't know. But the air coming out of it actually goes into a little nozzle that goes, there's a little nozzle that came with that new cutting head or engraver head. And it blows all of the, when the laser hits whatever it's engraving, it blows little bits up and they get in the way. So if you can get a tiny little stream of air blowing right across the laser, it'll blow all that stuff away. So you're not shooting the laser through a cloud of smoke, which makes it a whole lot more effective. And you can run it at lower power and run it faster and everything looks cleaner. And I was so pumped up that the pump came a couple days ago. The new engraving head came today. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to have enough power that I can finally engrave lowers and silencers and all the stuff
I'm talking about. Yes.
And I was like, son of a bitch, it's not going to work. So I'm going to keep working on that.
No, I'm depressed. I really wanted a gear report upper and lower.
It's not going to work yet. Stay optimistic. You never know.
I try to stay optimistic.
Now, what I can do with the original is if it's anodized, I can't do an ATF legal identification engraving because it has to be like, I can't remember what it is, 3 mils deep or something. I don't remember. 3 millimeters would be too much. I don't remember what it is, but whatever the depth is, I can't do it. All that laser will do is it'll blast what's on the surface. So I wonder where they are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you probably can't read it. My little bottle openers that I did Gear Report on. they're anodized. Oh, here's a good one. They're anodized, and what it did
Oh, sweet.
was it blasted away the anodized part. So now you see the kind of white metal underneath. And I could still do that. Like we could take a black anodized upper and come up with a design and run it, and it would blast away the black anodized and reveal the aluminum that's underneath.
Nice.
We could do that. Come
All
up
right.
with your bougie ideas, and we'll make it happen.
I've got so many bougie ideas.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah. Now you wait. He's going to send me ideas, and they're all going to involve the Ghost Tactical logo.
No, I mean only a couple.
No, only a couple.
Such a cool
You
logo.
know, that can be kind of cool though.
Actually, the GR is pretty cool.
So something else that I think I'm going to publish a review on pretty soon. This tiny little box, what's this look like to you guys? Does it remind you of something?
Looks like either an old like iPod or a voice like recorder type thing.
Exactly. To me, it looks like an old iPod. And even like this is a wheel. Oh, where's the camera? A thumb wheel that you turn. This is not sure how you pronounce this. Mooer. I'm going to say mower. I'm not even sure. Yeah, they call it the Prime P1, and this is a little. It's an effects processing computer for guitars and other instruments. So it links via Bluetooth to a phone app, and it'll make your guitar sound like anything. And I was very skeptical. It feels really cheesy and like it's too light, and it feels like it would break, you know. But I hooked it up, started messing with it, and it has a looper built in, so I can play something and then just have it repeat, and then play something else over it. And I am having an absolute blast with that.
Oh, geez.
So,
DJ Jeff.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's pretty fun. I think there's going to be a review on that pretty soon. I'm looking around the office, and I don't think I brought any of the other stuff up here. Stuff, I'm telling you, stuff arrives every single day.
Oh, I bet.
Report. Yep, I think I already showed the knife that I'm going to. I've got this because it's got a flat surface here that I could engrave, and I got blue because I am a Sea Scout leader, and Sea Scouts wear blue uniforms. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to engrave this, custom engrave this for one of our scouts or one of the leaders or something. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I thought I'm going to turn this into a commemorative. And then I found out this isn't plastic. This is that G10 kind of phenolic type material. And I don't know if that's going to engrave well. So
it's only one way to find out.
Yeah, I suppose. Oh, look at that. We got more people showing up. So for anyone who's new here, typically lately we have had brands on, and we talk about the brands and who they are and what they offer and where they're going, what cool stuff they have. Obviously, this show's sponsored by Maxim Defense. We tend to be, we spend a lot of time in the firearms market. We talk about camping. We talk about whatever I want to talk about, whatever TJ and Ghost want to talk about. And it is intended to be a participatory program. So any questions or comments or anything you want to hear about, please let us know. I was thinking this would probably be a quick episode because it was a late cancellation for our guest. So I had not, normally I kind of pull together an agenda just in case someone doesn't show up. But I didn't this time because I was at the warehouse fighting with a forklift with a dead battery.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but happy to go down any rabbit holes anyone wants to before we shut things down. Here's a question for everyone. Show of hands and leave a comment as well. This is going to sound off the wall and completely left field here.
I like it.
But I recently stumbled across a band that has me going, how did I not know about these people? And they're called The Darkness. Have you guys heard of The Darkness?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I feel like I should probably, I'm just going to leave it at that. Y'all can go look them up.
Thanks, buddy. It's okay.
I don't know if it would work well for me to try to pull up YouTube and stream something.
I'm still. Are they? What genre of music are they?
They're so it's funny, the way I found them is through some of the guitar people that I listen to do kind of weekly podcast stuff. Someone mentioned this guy named Justin Hawkins, and then YouTube put a link to one of his. He does like a podcast thing, and sent me to one of his. And it's a British guy, and he's mid late 40s, and he talks about music. It took like 10 episodes before I figured out he was in a band. I'd never heard of the band. Eventually I went and looked him up and was like, is this real? Are they a joke? I couldn't tell. But that's what's awesome about them, is they are a bit over the top and kind of in a funny way, but they actually have some really catchy songs as well. But I'm gonna say he calls it dad rock, which I'm not even sure what that means, but I guess if you're in your 40s or 50s, then you're of an appropriate age, that you grew up in the 80s and, you know, you like the kind of stuff that they do. But check them out. Listen to things a couple times. I didn't really love them the first time I heard them. And then I realized I was singing stuff later. I was like, maybe I should listen to that again. All right, so we have not published anything since the show last week. And by we, I mean me, because I still have things in the queue. I'm telling you, I've just spent so much time. I would highly encourage you to go check out our YouTube shorts. The shorts, I don't want to say they've been blowing up, because, you know, that's kind of pushing the definition to say that they're actually blowing up. But I will say that for the typical number of views that we get when we post something, the shorts, anything involving the Humvee and picking up tents and that kind of thing, has been doing way better than some of our other content on YouTube and on Instagram as well. So go check that stuff out. And I mean, it looks like I'm going to end up doing more Humvee stuff, because that's where the audience seems to be more receptive in.
They're
that
prepping,
market.
dude. They're getting ready. These outrageous prices we're paying for everything. They're like, you know what? I can live in a tent somewhere in the woods. Perfect.
You know what's funny is I had an Instagram reel go absolutely viral last week.
Wow.
And it's about golf. And I'm like, so I gained like 300 followers on Instagram, and there's going to be some really upset and disappointed people that are they're expecting golf stuff all the time. And I might do a golf like whatever every 10 or 15 posts, just something. But they're going to be like, okay, this is not anything that I thought that I was getting into. So.
Is that the one you were burning the greens on?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Explain that, please, because I didn't understand what we were watching there.
Okay. So for hundreds of years, I mean, farmers have burned their crops at the end of the year, and they rejuvenate. They grow back, you know, the grass will grow back healthier, greener, all this, that, and the other. It's never really been done, to our knowledge, on the golf greens. The greens that we have, they're a hybrid Bermuda, and they usually have a shelf life of about 25 years before they start kind of showing signs of deterioration and all of that. Well, we're right there about that 25 years, and we've noticed in the last couple of years, thatch has really kind of taken over underneath the leaf. Little discoloration and all that. It's just they're getting old. Unfortunately, this grass would cost us about $500,000 to replace. So I was looking at an article one time and talking about this, that, and the other, and I started thinking, I wonder if that would work on a golf course or not. So I called my superintendent and said, hey, when you get a chance, come up here to the office. He comes up and I tell him what I'm thinking about doing. He goes, you've lost your mind. Like, you're clinically insane. You're going to burn our greens. And I was like, no, I'm not saying we're going to do it. I'm saying in theory, does this work? He goes, I don't even know. I don't know. So the next day he calls. He says, hey, come out to our nursery green. I was like, what's going on? He said, we're burning it. I'm like, what? So he brought one of his little torch flames because I like what do you call it, like a barbecue grill propane tank.
Yep.
and it hooks up to a wand that has a flame.
Yep.
And so we burn like a
torch down roofing with.
What's that?
Something like they torch down roofing with.
Yeah. And so we burn like a 2 foot by 2 foot square on our nursery green just to see if it worked. And in 6 weeks, it came back perfect. Like you couldn't even tell, but it was like better quality grass. The thatch was gone.
Wow.
Because we had about 1.5 inches of thatch, and we had at this point like maybe 1/4 of an inch. So inside that thatch, not only does it make the leaf a little bit weaker, where you can't cut it as low as you want it to, it also holds insects like armyworms and all that. It also holds a lot of disease. So when you kill off that thatch, you're killing off any insects, any possible diseases, and all that. So yeah. So this was in 2020. So the last 2 years, we've tried and tested this. The guy in the blue shirt's my superintendent, with some of my crew. We tested it about 3 or 4 different times, and every single time it came back amazing. So we decided to do it, and we burned. This is the green that we're burning right here that you're watching. This was last Monday.
Yeah.
If I could show you a picture of it today, you wouldn't believe it. It's
Wow.
like 85% covered with green grass already.
Nice.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's interesting.
So when I sold this to my owner, I said, look, we're going to have to spend, we need new greens. It's coming to that point. He's like, oh, okay. This is a couple years ago. So we're a few years away, but it's getting close. See, what are we looking at here? He just spent $1 million last year on putting in a new irrigation system. And he's like, how much? And I said,
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan.
there you go. I said between $400,000 and $500,000. That's going to cost between $20,000 and $25,000 per green. And between our practice green and ours, we have 20 greens.
Oh.
And he's like, huh? And I said, but we're testing something that it could cost us $5,000.
And
He's like,
I'll take a commission.
I don't understand. And I said, I told him. He was like, holy, he's like, he's like baffled, like what? And I said, all we're going to do is pay for the propane, and then he's like, I don't understand. I said, I get it. And we're getting looks from so I posted that video. Not only are people going nuts over it, but I'm getting Facebook messages and texts and calls from buddies of mine that are in the golf business going, what the hell are y'all doing? And I got one of them that calls us that has the same kind of grass. And they're about 10 years away. But he was like, can we come up there and watch? And I was like, yeah. And so my superintendent says, hey, tell them if they want to come up here, bring a can of propane with them, and we'll let them burn part of our greens
And some beers.
if they want to take a shot at it. And it's crazy, but it's working, and it's going to be amazing. Like
Old school, dude. That's how it works.
The device that the guy's using here,
Huh?
the one with the wheel, the device the guy's using with the wheels that has
Yeah.
2 propane bottles on it.
Yes.
What was that made for?
Us actually. So this is about 1.5 years ago. We've got 4 of the little ones, like the one you see in the back there. It's just like a one-person thing. We called the guy that had those, and he's up in like Wisconsin or Michigan or something. And we were telling him what we were doing. He's like, do we have anything that has like multiple? And he's like, no. And he said, but he wouldn't be that hard to fabricate, theoretically.
A giant grill
And so
burner.
it took like 6 weeks. Like we ordered it, and he says, I can build one, but it's going to take like 6 weeks from the time you order it. So we went ahead and ordered it, and it actually ended up taking about 12 weeks, honestly. But that's what it came up with, is 2 propane tanks on rollers, and it's got 8 little burners on the bottom of it.
So you need to get with this guy and get a piece of that action and say, hey, let's co-brand this or something.
There you go.
Well, the funny thing is we were sitting there, we were joking. It's like, if this works, this is a game changer for the golf industry, right?
Yeah.
But there's no way for us to like make money on it, except possibly this contraption right here.
There you go.
Maybe.
Right.
But we didn't build it. It's not our design. It's not our concept. It was figure out something for us, and this is what he came with. So this guy could make a lot of money. Where we could make a lot of money is being the middleman of hooking people up with this guy, possibly. I don't know, but it's crazy. But
I'll tell you. So something I've been doing lately, and we're going to segue into something else that I'm doing, but I'm going to tell you how you could turn this into money potentially. I've been watching videos from different YouTube experts on how to build a channel and grow a channel, because something that I have been thinking about for years is breaking out kind of sub channels for Gear Report. Like we have an A channel, that's it. We don't have a B channel. We don't have any sub channels. We don't have a backup channel. We have one channel, and we do everything, camping and boating and guns and Humvee stuff. And it's hard to cultivate an audience when you're all over the place. And also, if anything, if any sensitive people at YouTube smack us around on our channel because of the gun stuff, then we lose everything. So
right,
I'm starting another channel that it will be called Camping Gear Report, and obviously that'll be about camping gear. And then once I get
Most
that up
likely you
and
won't see me
running,
there.
then we can do maybe a gun gear report or firearms gear report or sailing gear report. I mean, we can do new ones for each different area and kind of segment the audience so that people should be a little happier because it's more predictable content. Like Gear Report is not predictable content. It's
right.
whatever I want to do, and that's not predictable. So
people love the guitars and Humvees and everything else.
People like guitars, people like Humvees, people like guns, people like camping. Not all people like all those things, and it makes it difficult when to really grow a channel when you're all over the place. So what I was suggesting is an idea that I've heard from quite a few people that I watch, your kind of internet growth expert types, is to do classes. And that's where you could easily, Trey, get some video of what you're doing and just talk people through it, and teach a course in an online course in greens management and how to use this method. Come up with a cool method, and who knows?
Yeah, come up with a cool name for it or whatever. Yeah, and market it. Man.
Yeah. And what this is missing is that kind of patentability. But go look at YouTube. There are courses for all kind of things that aren't protectable,
Right. Yeah.
So then it comes down to the personality and the presentation method. And you've been doing this a while. You kind of got those nailed. So who knows?
Yeah,
I'm not
it's interesting. I had some guys playing today from Louisiana. They came up and played from Louisiana, and they're just like, explain to me what's going on, blah, 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 and then he's like, holy cow. Because they see, like, we're burning a hole a day. So, like, they saw the hole that we're burning today, but they also see the holes we've already burned and how quickly, and all of that. And they're like, holy cow. He's like, I'm going to have my golf bro call you. And I was like, here's my card. Have him call me. We'll tell them, it doesn't work for all
$10,000 consultation fee.
Correct.
Seriously, you could put together like a consultation package, and even if it's only like for $100, I'll teach you everything you need to know. I'll provide you with a list of equipment. I'll hook you up with where to buy it, what schedule to do it on.
There's still probably a lot of variables depending on what mix their green is and stuff like that. As far as
right. I mean, there's certain course.
I mean, some of them may not work. I mean, like, they could burn them and then they stay dead, and they're like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I mean, there are certain types of grasses this absolutely won't. This will not work on bent grass. You'll absolutely just smoke and they're done. There's obviously grasses that you cannot use this with, but a lot of the southern, below the Mason-Dixon line, a lot of the southern courses the last 10 years have kind of gone to this hybrid Bermuda, And there's a lot of courses out there that are utilizing it now. Like, you're watching, if you guys are watching the PGA Championship at all right now at Southern Hills in Tulsa, they've got the same grass we do. So theoretically, you're talking about a course that can afford to pay the $500,000 every 25 years to redo it.
Right.
But if you can spend $5,000, why wouldn't you do that? So my next step is to go into my owner when this is all done and say, I saved you $500,000. How about a bonus, man?
There you go. I would. Listen, he should appreciate the effort and the research and everything else.
Well, we're getting thrashed right now by my membership because they don't understand it. And this is just one of those things. This is just in general. Most people are quick to just bitch and moan and complain without facts, and they refuse to ask what's going on. They just assume certain things, and the ones that have come and asked and I've explained it to them, they're like, oh, that makes absolute sense. They're just like, wow. I said, guys, it's going to be rough for a couple months. I get it. But just think what's going to be like in August. It's going to be unbelievably perfect.
Like, or I could shut it down for a couple months and you guys can just
not play golf.
Yeah.
It's funny because when my owner, when I brought it to him a couple of years ago, and I said, we're going to spend the next year or two testing this. We're not going to just pull a trigger on it real quick. We're going to test it multiple times. And he says, what's the worst case scenario? And I said, what the worst case scenario is you're still spending $500,000.
Right.
I said, but at that point, what's an extra $5,000 to try this at that point, Right. I said, but if it works, you just saved $500,000. And it's working. So, yeah.
Yeah. Or you go up on fees. Yeah.
We are going up on fees in August. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, not much. I mean, it's 10% or whatever.
You got to wait until those greens come back, and then as more people tell you how awesome the greens are, then you roll out the increase.
Yeah, we've already kind of scheduled in a little 10% increase, later on this summer, but we do that pretty much every other year anyway, just because our costs go up. People don't realize,
No, they realize fuel costs are going up. I guarantee that.
Yeah, if you break even at a golf course, you've done something special.
Huh.
Most golf courses are owned by corporations, and they use them as tax write-offs because you pretty much will lose money. My operating budget for the golf course is over $500,000 a year. That's just the operating course. That's nothing with merchandise and all that. That's just to operate the golf course on a yearly basis is $500,000. So it's one of those where, it's one of those that golf courses historically do not make a lot of money. The last couple of years, we've done very, very well because, especially in 2020, was the best. I've been at this course for 20 years. Wow. And hands down, 2020 was our best year ever.
So in the lockdown, nobody else had anything to do.
They couldn't do anything else. That was the only thing they could do outside was go play golf. So we were killing it.
Yep.
Wow.
We had the beach down here, so everybody hit the beach.
Yeah, we got the lake here, so a lot of people did the lake. But I mean, when you're up here, a lot of the guys will come up here, and we had guys that have a lot of our homes in our community's like in an island here on the lake, and there's obviously a lot of homes. We have a lot of weekend homes, people from Dallas, St. Louis, Memphis, and all that. Well, when it came down to 2020, when they were working from home, they were like, well, if I'm going to work from home, I'm going to work from my lake home.
Yeah.
And they were literally doing Zoom calls on the golf course or on their boats. And so they were here all summer, and they would play golf in the morning while the wife and the kids slept, and they'd hit the lake in the afternoon. And it was like Tuesday mornings were like crazy. Like, this is like a Saturday. Look, what's going on here? But it was like that entire year. It was nuts.
Yep, I hear you. My brother started taking his family to, I don't even know where, one of the big ski resort areas out in like Colorado or something. Man, and I'm blanking on which one now, but like one of the real big name
Colorado.
ones, and they
Like
rented a place.
Breckenridge, Vale, Aspen, one of those.
I think maybe it was Breckenridge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they rented a place that was halfway down the mountain on the slope and were
Yeah.
there for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And they just worked from there. And they skied every day. And it's like, wow. Surprised they came back, honestly.
Right.
Yeah. But that was funny because they were, they gave me a hard time anytime I came around because I never really embraced the mask and I never stopped being around people and they were terrified.
Right.
And but then they got on a plane and flew to Colorado and I was like, really? You know, it was, yeah.
We had a guy come in today wearing a mask, and that's the first mask I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
The guy comes in wearing a mask, and I was like, I didn't say anything. That's his prerogative. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
like,
in
Arkansas, we were never really big. I mean, like, except for like a 2-month span, because we're a resort, so it's a hotel and all that. There were mandates for hotels, restaurants, and all that. So we were for about 2 months, but since then, like, we don't see masks. And all of a sudden, this guy walks in with a mask. I'm like, oh, how you doing, man?
Where are you from, boy?
Yeah.
California?
Yeah. Well, I saw someone wearing one today. And well, I was at the warehouse. 2 doors down at the warehouse is the hardwood store of North Carolina, which apparently the little tiny town that I live in has a fairly well-known little like woodworker supply place. I say,
well, I know like the best. They say the best like cabinets and woodwork in the world. Some of it comes from North Carolina. I mean, it's
Burlington and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was someone there backing his van in to do a pickup or drop off. I don't know, but as I was driving around the building, and he got out and he's wearing a cloth mask, and I'm like, we've had data for almost 2 years that pretty clearly shows that those masks are almost 100% useless, like maybe 1.5% improvement in outcomes when people wore them, and that's within the margin of error for how they calculated it. Like,
correct.
Why would anyone even wear a cloth mask? Like, if you want to wear one, this is where I'm going to come from here. I personally don't think that healthy people need to wear them, and I've thought that the entire time. But people who have compromised immunity and need to wear a mask should wear a good mask. And no one should ever wear a cloth mask for protection from COVID.
Yeah, I mean, we're from Florida. I still see people with masks down here, and they look terrified. I'm like, dude, you're in the wrong state. You just, you know, if you're worried about this, you need to go somewhere else. I'm like, but you can tell the people from out of state, they have their masks on and they're looking around like, you know, they do a wide berth in the grocery store. I'm like, okay, good call, buddy.
Like when I was at SHOT, I wore like when I say a thin, I'm talking like rice paper thin. Like you guys saw it. It's just about, you could poke a hole just by poking your finger through it. But it was a face covering, and I could still breathe in. I never wore it, but I guarantee you that is not going to stop anything. But people think that because they're wearing that, they're safe, and it's like, bro, like, that's not doing any, but, you know, like I said, it's their prerogative, but it's like, I don't understand why they believe, and these people truly believe that that's saving their lives. And it's like, bro, no, it's not.
It's making them, and so all this is my opinion, by the way. I'm not speaking with ultimate authority. I am sharing my opinion
apparently
on all of this. But
I'm not the doctor.
I believe that those masks actually have been bad for a number of reasons, not the least of which is they gave people a false sense of security.
Absolutely.
And people went out and did things that where they exposed themselves, and people got sick,
thinking they were safe.
Because they had faith that what they were being told about the effectiveness of the mask was accurate and that they were protected.
Let's be honest. If you can buy it for $2 on Amazon, Yeah. If you can buy it for $2 on Amazon, I mean, honestly, is it really going to save your life?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I do know that the cloth
Worth the
mask,
Google or worth the search.
plenty of peer-reviewed studies out there showing that they
Yeah.
were a waste of time. So
No doubt. No doubt.
yeah. Anyhow, so let's see. What else do we need to talk about? I have got, as far as things I have coming up, I've got a couple firearms that are coming up in the queue that I'm going to get to here shortly. If I do end up backpacking for a couple weeks in June, oh, I don't know if you guys heard that thunder.
That thunder?
That was thunder. That was lots of thunder. Ooh,
I heard it,
yeah,
so I knew it was loud if I heard it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
We had a
the-
launch, and I thought it was thunder. I was like, "What is that?" They're like, "Oh, it's a launch." I'm like, "Yeah, fine."
yeah, the studio is on the third floor here at Gear Report headquarters, so here's something that hasn't happened yet during this show, but it could happen here shortly. I have skylights, 3 of them, and if the rain starts coming down, it's gonna wash everything out. Like it sounds like a bunch of people playing snare drums, and it's starting to rain. I think we're gonna have to shut it down just because y'all won't be able to hear me anyway.
It's not a bad thing sometimes. I mean,
Dude, I'm not gonna argue with you.
love you, buddy. I mean,
Wow.
You're probably right. Yep, you're
listen,
probably right.
if we're down to guitar talk, such a shame,
Man, he's full of hatred tonight.
dude. I'm fired up. I've had so many beers tonight. It's disturbing.
Can you hear the rain in the background now?
Hold on, a little bit.
It's
A little bit.
steady
A
enough.
little bit, yeah.
It's steady enough. These new mics have some pretty good noise canceling. I don't know how good this one is, but it's kind of directional. This one, it's a large diaphragm mic, and it's faced right at me. So if I turned it up towards the skylights, it would be on axis. It's off axis, so it isolates that sound pretty well. But anyhow.
Of course, he could be
Jeff
in here
sent-
talking. He could be in here talking smack to you.
No, but for that to happen, he would have to have mastered technology enough to figure out where the link that I shared with him is.
He's in
No,
next
but
week.
seriously, I've got some Humvee content coming up. I have some parts that I'm halfway through installing something really cool, and I had to take a break to get all my tents out of the warehouse because the rent was about to go through the ceiling.
Did you get them all
I'll
out?
tell you, I about blew a gasket early in the week. I showed up at the warehouse pretty early in the morning, and my pallet jack was missing. And without access to the forklift, all I had was my pallet jack to move these things around, and it was gone. And as I'm wandering around, they cleared out all the people who were paying low rent amounts and replaced them with this really big new, it's like a moving company. And they stole my pallet jack and had it down in their area. Like they were just using it. So I brought it home. Like, screw that.
Yeah, that's what you guys get.
And I hope that they called and said, hey, where'd the pallet jack go? So someone could tell them, oh, you mean the one that wasn't yours that you had stolen? So anyhow, yeah, that was a little bit of drama that I probably didn't have to share with everyone. Jeff never sends links like a not mall creator. I agree.
I mean,
I
if he's
don't
going to talk
think
smack,
like
at
a
least
not mall creator.
if he's going to talk smack, at least spell it right. You know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I update the calendar meeting reservation thing with all the links, and so that should pop up and tell you it's time for the show. And then in that reminder, you'll have the the links you need to join the show. Like, I'm making it easy for you, bruh. You just got to do your part.
He's a
if I can,
diva.
if I can do
He's
it,
a diva.
anybody can do it because I'm like way down on the technology level.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I can't find.
Dude, I get like 6 emails a week about show updates. So check your email, bro. It's in there.
Yep.
You just got to click on all 6 of them to find the correct date. But once you find the date of it, then the link's there. You know what Clover needs to do? Clover needs to go on like Fiverr and like hire himself an assistant that takes care of all of this for him.
Yeah, a young person, a millennial or
Yes.
younger, so
Yes.
they actually know. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So, and I keep saying we need to wrap up, but here's a story that I something that has nothing to do with gear, but I want to mention it because I thought it was I feel for young people because I see this kind of thing happen more often. I don't know if age was really a big deal, but this moving company that stole my pallet jack, I was listening to the manager absolutely raking this guy over the coals, and he's like cussing at him, dropping F-bombs left and right about, well, I told you to do it this way and that way, and you just didn't listen to any GD thing that I said, and effing did whatever you wanted, and now see what problem it's caused, and you don't listen to a damn thing I say anyway. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I hope they're related, because if that's a family thing, at least I can be like, well, okay.
Right.
If your family wants to let you talk to them that way, that's one thing. But like, dude, you talk to me like that, I'm gonna dot your I quickly. But so the big thing that I wanted to say though was that I felt for the guy because for the guy receiving it, because he sounded legitimately confused. Like, well, no, you said do this, and the guy kept cutting him off before he could explain why he did it the way he did it. And I kept coming back to a saying that I'd heard years ago, which was, it's not the people, it's the process. And to me, like, if they asked me to arbitrate this, I would have pulled that manager aside and said, dude, if you gave what you believe are clear instructions to an employee and they got it wrong, you need to look at how you gave those instructions. Either you hired an idiot and you need to work on your hiring, or you need to work on your communication skills. Because it sounds to me like this guy legitimately tried to do right, and you just F-bombed him off the face of the earth. So, yeah.
I agree, Clover.
Poor TJ. Poor T. Just for that, I'm going to hide TJ behind your comment.
No.
Ah.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah. So, anyhow.
This camera moves, man.
Oh, my goodness.
There you
go. Let's do it this way then. You want the...
I'm so
you
tiny.
Want the spotlight here? Boom.
There we are.
What's up?
I still got my Halo, my Gear Report Halo.
Yes, you do.
Like that.
My lighting is fantastic though now, isn't it?
It's
definitely. You have a little pinkish hue to your skin, but that could be because you've had 27 beers.
I have to paint the door. I have to change the outlet or the switch.
You know what I think you could do?
Paint that door, and I'm good.
Here, I'm going to give you a suggestion.
All right,
and you take it or leave it.
I'm not going to put the guitars in my background.
And I have been playing with my setup for a couple years, tweaking here and there, trying to get it just right.
Mm-hmm.
Turn the overhead light off. Put a light in front of you, like maybe like right over the monitor.
Right.
Maybe one off to the side, so you get one side.
I've got one.
Bit more.
Hold on. I've got one there, and I've got one
So
over
what would
there.
happen if you turn your overhead light off?
Hold on.
Okay, so if you put a little
That
bit
is
more,
scary
little
as hell right
little
there.
bit
That's like a
more
horror
light.
movie crap right there.
Get like a
You can
halo
figure
light.
out
Yeah.
if you can isolate it so you get a little bit more light on your face. I think you're getting too much screen light on your face right now.
Oh,
If you can
there
get
it
a little
is.
bit, if you can get a little more light on your face, but then keep the background dark with maybe just a little light coming up onto the Gear Report logo, I think
Right.
that would look awesome. That's the
All right.
effect I'm trying to do here, and I'm too
I'll work
close
on
to
it.
the wall. I really
This looks
need to push out
disturbingly
further.
bad right now.
But yeah, that's not working like I was hoping. But I'm saying, like, you don't have to worry about the door. Just get the background dark and then have enough light just on you, like not where it lights up the wall behind you,
Right.
but maybe something that just hits your face.
All right. I'll work on it.
You got to highlight the moneymaker. Who cares about the
Listen, I know,
walls and
but
stuff?
I mean, it works in almost any light.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyhow,
it does.
just
That's right.
ideas, because I've been playing with that. So, and I did mention I'm starting that. It's going to be called Camping Gear
Look at that.
Report, and I'm starting to work on getting that channel started. And if that goes okay, then once I get that up and rolling, then I'll spawn additional ones, and then eventually, yeah. And I'm nervous about this because it takes so long to build enough traffic and subscribers and views and watch hours and all of that to get monetized. I hate to dilute and spread out, but you know what they say, the riches are in the niches, and I'm all about the riches, so we're going to work on that.
So, TJ, is there a significance to the empty whiskey bottle over your left shoulder, or is that just you're lazy to throw it away?
I'm going to refill it.
Oh, okay. Then that's
Yeah.
fair enough. I understand.
I've got I don't know if you can see it. See the wooden cask?
Yeah.
I've got some bourbon in there and it's aging, so I'm gonna
Oh.
once it
So
fills
that
up.
will eventually go into that bottle.
Yes.
Nice.
We give about another
That
couple
bottle
months.
needs a Gear Report sticker on it, by the way.
I know.
So that's something else we can work on, though, is apparently if we paint the bottle black, then we can put it under the laser engraver and it will engrave. If you don't paint it, then it just passes through the clear glass and it doesn't engrave.
It
But if you
won't etch,
paint
so
it,
it can't etch the glass.
if you paint it, then it will etch the glass,
But what
and
if I
then you
leave
wipe
it?
the paint off.
All right, I'll just take it somewhere and get it etched so it has a cool Gear Report sticker on it
You could do that, I guess.
to match my beer tap in the background there.
Or just throw a piece of Velcro on the glass and throw a patch on it.
There we go.
You could, or a sticker. When you go to the NRA show, Clover should have some Gear Report stickers for you.
Ooh,
Yes, I hadn't told you, but now I did. So there
awesome.
you go.
That is fantastic.
I agree.
I'm working. I worked hard. I threw 1,000 square foot of flooring down today, so I'm plowing out that place so I can go.
You can just put tape, should etch too. Yeah, I've been playing with that. I've been using the blue painter's tape on stuff that I'm etching to try to control kind of the burn off on the sides and other stuff. So yeah, so the other problem I'm having is since I'm on the third floor and it's starting to get hot, once it heats up during the day, I need, when I run the engraver, I run it by a window with the fan sucking all the smoke out. I can't run it when it's closed, when it's 90 degrees, and the ceiling in my office it may not be insulated at all. I was going to say poorly insulated. It's like a freaking oven in here. So if I don't run the air, then I can't be up here.
Yep.
It's too much.
Oh, geez.
I
No stickers
sold
for
them
me.
to another guy who is starting a new Gear Report. Sorry.
Well,
Well,
so let's be honest. I'm calling it Gear Dot Report. So I mean, it's not the same thing. I'm calling it Gear Dot Report. Let's just be honest.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not remotely the same.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Totally different.
Yep. Maybe the next one will actually be successful. Yeah. That'd be cool. I'd love to see someone make some money off the concept. That'd be cool.
Be fantastic.
Anyhow.
we get to take like first class flights to places and stuff. It'd be awesome.
Oh, we buy our own helicopter, man. We're gonna fly, or a jet. We're gonna fly in style.
You're going to work for the new one?
No.
Oh yeah. No,
Oh.
we're
we
gonna
never do that.
Of course not.
You're talking your trash, man. We went to the
DM me.
gathering, and y'all get to ride around in the coolest vehicle there. And we were cruising.
Not
in
all
style.
of y'all got to ride in it. This y'all
Well,
didn't get to ride in it.
Everyone had the opportunity. If some people didn't choose to take advantage of that opportunity, that's not my problem.
But luckily, I have ridden in many of them, so I'll let you slide this time.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, I think with that, and I told TJ this is gonna since our guest canceled, we're gonna go 30 minutes. We've been an hour and 20 minutes. So
I say that every week.
When you
2.5
said that, I
hours
started
later.
laughing. I was like 30 minutes. I was like, hour and a half. Now we're pretty close.
So funny story that you ain't riding any aircraft I buy.
That's fair.
It was probably 15 years ago. I actually was booking a flight to go up to the edge of Lake Erie, to a little airport there, to purchase a single seat aerobatic plane. I was gonna fly in air shows. I was gonna do all the crazy loops and rolls and stuff.
Like the old Red Bulls kind of stuff, like the acrobat stuff.
Sort of, yeah. I was gonna get a little biplane with it had the bubble cockpit on it. It was red and oh man, it was gorgeous. And at the last minute, I was like, you know what? All of my pilot friends are on their second or third wives, and I kind of like the one I have. I think I should. I'd already committed to spend the money. I'd already budgeted for it. And I said, you know what? Instead of that, I'm going to go get a big ass boat that the whole family can stay on. Because otherwise, I'm either going to die in the plane, or I'm going to end up spending all my time and money there.
Yeah.
And end up like divorced and never seeing my kids.
I knew I should have got into aeronautics. I could have had my second wife by now.
Yeah. So I went and bought So I went
here right now. She's at the bar.
Yeah. So I went and bought a 36-foot cabin cruiser that we had that one for a year, and then I sold it and bought a much newer one. And we kept that one for a decade. So we spent a lot of family time. We'd take the kids up there and we'd push off the dock and go drop the anchor in a cove and spend the weekend on the anchor. And, we either had the little Zodiac or kayaks to get to shore, and that was it. And we held the kids captive and got a lot of kid time when our friends, their kids were playing Xbox and who knows what they were doing. We actually
I'm sure they hated it at the time. They probably look back on it now and probably enjoyed it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Probably. When they're older, they probably will appreciate it.
I'd ask them if they would.
It takes them a while to appreciate stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think that was a better choice. But I came real close to buying 4 different airplanes. And that was the last one before I gave up and said, you know what, I'm not going to buy a plane. But the one before that was a former Russian military MiG. There was a place
that would have been pretty bad.
I would have bought it.
I was flying into
because
we do a lot of.
Yeah, but do you know how expensive jet fuel is?
But it was a MiG. It was cool. It was like a MiG 14
Oh,
or
I know
15 or
it would be
something.
awesome. But
And again, that was going to be a get it and go fly air shows. But when I was doing I was flying search and rescue with the Civil Air Patrol, and we would do training flights quite a bit that went to all the different little airports in our area. And at one of those airports, I stumbled across one, and Civil Air Patrol is the auxiliary of the Air Force, and we had the option of wearing Air Force uniforms. I still had flight suits, so I wore my flight suit. So they saw me like, oh, this is a military pilot. He would be interested, and they put the hard sell on. And if I gave them 20 grand, they were going to give me the plane. And
for a
that's
MiG,
insane. It was an old MiG, but yes.
it doesn't matter.
And that was after they had put it back together, test flown it and everything. Like it was going to be, it
I'd
would
have
have
bought it.
passed inspection. And, and, uh, and again, that was
Wow.
another one of those. If I buy this, I will be divorced and or dead within a year.
I'd have bought
So I
it. I'd have
didn't.
taken that gamble.
Did you hear my wife laughing in the background? She agrees.
Yeah, but that so those were so the little pit special, the actual Russian military surplus MiG, um, a Piper Cub. If you go look that up,
Ooh,
it's a
nice. I know what that is. Yeah.
little tiny plane. Um, I was gonna get one of those. That one I wasn't as serious on. The deal was okay. Um, but man, that'd be a cool little plane to have. And then a Citabria is like it's like a Cub on steroids, basically. And that's another little Citabria is aerobatic spelled backwards. So the two of those or three of the four planes I was looking at were going to be to do air shows. Um, but you know, I'd talk myself out of that, and I'm glad I did. Let's
Is
see
your
what
licensing still up to date, or did you let it slide?
I'm non-current right now.
Non
Like I
current.
have to go
It
fly
wouldn't take you much
with
to get it back, though, would it?
so a pilot, once you get your license, unless it's suspended, you keep your license, but you have currency requirements where every year you
Sure.
have to do a check ride with an instructor. And if you pass, then you're good for another year. You have your medical and your check ride. And
Yeah.
I haven't had a check ride in how old's my son? He's 19, so 18 years. So I would have to go do some. Uh, I'd have to. Enough things have changed. I'd have to do ground school again, and I'd have to spend some time with an instructor um, to see what procedurally has changed and to knock the rust off on the flight part. The stick and rudder stuff isn't that hard, but all
Yeah.
the other things you have to manage are there's enough complexity and in the whole series of we say uh, aviate, navigate, communicate. That's kind of the order of operations. So operate the aircraft and then navigate, figure out where you're going. That's when GPS works. That's a whole lot easier now than it used to be. I
Yeah.
learned with maps, and then communicate, all managing all your radios between other aircraft, between ground control, between uh, air traffic controllers at airports and between airports. I mean, there are a ton of things you have to juggle when flying, and it'd take some time to knock the rust off all of that. But I've got my youngest is a junior in high school now, and I just happen to live coincidentally about what would it be, about 12 minutes from the North Carolina Civil Air Patrol headquarters. So as soon as the kids are out of the house, I may stumble back over there and say, "Hey guys, let's go fly it," and get current again.
There you
Because
go.
that's kind of neat. I enjoyed that.
Then you'd fly us to SHOT Show.
Oh, that ain't gonna happen. Jason can fly us because he's jet rated.
Yeah. That.
We'd actually get there in a hurry. I do have it's a aircraft single engine land. That's the category that I have, but I have endorsements for high performance and raised gear. So I can fly something that's a little bit fast, but only single engine. You want to go fast enough to cross
Oh,
the
so you couldn't even
country?
get into like a King Air. You're talking like a Beechcraft turbo, but you couldn't even get into a King Air, could you? That's a dual prop, I believe.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Multi wouldn't be hard to get that rating, but I've never done it.
Okay.
And I'm VFR only. I've done a lot of flight under instrument conditions.
I was going to ask you if you had your instrument license or not.
I should have finished it, but because I did most of it, and the guy that I finished my flight instruction with had his own plane, so we would use the FBO's aircraft, the local airport operators aircraft for the rental fleet for instruction. But then on the weekends, every Sunday, we would take his plane and go for the $100 hamburger. We'd fly somewhere. So we're in Central North Carolina. He'd say, "Hey, did you see BB King is playing at the House of Blues?" So we'd fly to Myrtle Beach and have lunch and catch BB King and then fly home. Or what do you feel like? Wings? Good. So we fly up to Norfolk, Virginia because they got a Hooters that has good wings, Or burger. Oh, there's a cool burger place out in Manteo on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So we'd fly out there. And John,
The good old days.
He got the biggest kick out of putting me under the hood. You'd have like frosting glasses that had just a little cutout so you could see the dash and you couldn't see out the windows. And he'd make me wear those. So it's as if we were flying in a cloud. So I've got a lot of hood time. I'll tell you what, one of the last times we went up, he had me coming in to land at an airport I hadn't been to before, and it had kind of a unique approach that you had to make to the runway we were using, and it was solid. It called IMC, instrument meteorological conditions. You couldn't see the ground, and flying everything off of instruments, and I didn't know which way was up.
Did they have an ILS system set up, or was it just straight instrument?
Yeah, but I'll tell you, logically, you can think through just follow the needles.
Sure.
You got your elevation needle and you got your center line of runway needle, and you just keep them centered in the middle, and everything's good. And if you start drifting off to the side, then you get back. If you're high or low, it's easy to see, right?
People
but then your inner ears
people have no idea how many people that come out of clouds that are flying instrument that come out of clouds upside down and had no idea until they come out of clouds. Man, it's just a real thing,
It's crazy. Like I was like, John, you got to take over. He's like, what are you talking about? You're doing okay. And he's like, no, you're drifting. You're drifting. Dude. And I'm like, dude, I don't know which way's up. You got to take it. And it freaked me out, really.
Yeah.
Because I'd flown under a hood quite a bit and had never had that happen. But then once the real clouds were out there, I don't know what it was, but it messed me up. So
I was on a commercial Allegiant flight, and we were flying, I think in the Greenville or Charlotte, and we had to wait on a pilot that was instrument certified because the pilot that was on there was not instrument certified.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like,
and he's an airline. He's like an actual airline pilot.
Allegiant, dude. Yeah. And I was like, so if something happened and he was up there, we'd be screwed.
He must have just been non-current. I don't think you can be a
we can't.
commercial
But I'll tell you what,
pilot.
when we landed, like we came out of the clouds, burp, hit the ground. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And there was enough booze on that plane for me.
Yeah. Yeah, expense ownership is bad with aircraft, definitely. I looked at something old crop duster one time for about 15. Yeah. Estimated years ownership was like 20. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Depends on where the plane is in its maintenance cycle. If it's had a fresh engine and most of the stuff's up to date, then you can get away with pretty low operating costs for a few years. But as things
And
wear
you can
out,
get into like a 172. It's a decent 172 for, well, I don't know what now, but a few years back for 40,000. That was still a
yeah,
decent flying aircraft. I don't know what they are now, but people think buying a plane, the buying cost still isn't the high part. It's the hangar fees, the maintenance fees, all of that stuff. To where you better fly a lot or it's going to eat your ass
Right.
up.
Exactly. It's like a boat. You got to
yeah.
use a boat a lot to make it worth your
That's
while. If not,
Well, or a vacation house,
yep.
all of that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that's why we didn't buy a lake house. We bought the big boat that we could spend weekends on. It was our floating condo, and for probably 8 years, it was awesome. And then
Yeah.
the last 3 years, the kids had things going on almost every weekend. I mean, we had probably 6 years where we were up there almost every weekend of the summer. We did long weekends most weekends. Um, it was awesome. We really got our money's worth out of that boat. But then the last couple years, the kids were so busy that we really didn't get our money's worth out of it, and it became like a any of those big expenses. If you don't use them, you're still paying for them, and
Yep.
that'll absolutely eat at you. It's like you're held hostage by this cool thing that you saved up, and like, oh yeah, I finally got this awesome thing I always wanted, and then you get held hostage by it because you can't do anything else. You go somewhere else, it's like, well, I'm already paying for this other one, but now I'm going to go pay to do something else. Well, no, we got to go back to the lake every week. So
We
I'm glad
literally, the last few years we had our boat, literally, I would say at least the last 3 years combined, we might have gone to the lake once with it. Once.
yeah, yep. I say all this, I've been thinking about. Oh, did TJ get
TJ's
muted?
muted yourself, bro.
Oh, sorry, dude. The dogs are barking. So yeah, the boats are the worst because if you don't use them, the bilges go bad, batteries die, impellers go
Yeah,
bad, seals go bad, and the next thing you're like, all right, I've got thousands of dollars for the boat sitting there for a year.
yeah,
Well, you know what boat stands for, right?
Break out
Bust out,
another 1,000.
bust out
yeah,
another 1,000. Yep.
Yep.
yep. What are you talking about?
Boats.
A boat? You know what a boat is?
Boats and hose.
You know what a boat is? It's a hole in the water you throw money into.
True.
Yeah. So,
True.
Weston, I hope your son stays safe and has good judgment. I had a kid that he was actually I was when I was in Civil Air Patrol, I was still doing a little wrestling coaching at the high school, and one of the kids, man, gifted athlete. I need to see whatever happened to him because it's been a long time, but he incredibly gifted athlete, and apparently a pretty decent pilot as well. And he was taking flight lessons as a Civil Air Patrol member as a youth while in high school, and it's significantly cheaper. So if you're happy with where your son's taking lessons, then ignore what I'm going to say. But at least they did that. You had to pay for fuel and oil, I think, to fly the Civil Air Patrol aircraft. So the big expense of renting a plane was dramatically reduced to just fuel and oil cost with the Civil Air Patrol. And they even had some, the flight instructors, if it was part of Civil Air Patrol training, they wouldn't charge you. That was just part of the training. So it was an exponentially cheaper way to do flight training, and that's how I plan on getting back into it, is going back to them and saying, hey, I want to get active again, because I'd been a search and rescue pilot and emergency services officer for our local squadron. So I do want to get back into that at some point. But
Are you Hilo certified or just are you playing
fixed wing. Yeah.
fixed wing? Okay.
I've funny story. I've been in a helicopter one time, but I've never been in a helicopter when it took off. Like I've been in a helicopter that landed one time, but I've never been in a helicopter as it's taken off.
Okay, all right.
I have been.
I have once or twice, but yeah. They're fun. About half the people get sick the first time they're in a helicopter because they're expecting it to move like a plane and it doesn't, so they're not ready for it. But helicopters are cool. But I also know that helicopter training is probably they say it's much more difficult than learning how to fly a plane. I don't know that to be true, but I've heard that from a lot of people that when pilots have gone get their helicopter license, admit it is so much harder because you're so used to a certain way of flying and it's so different,
Yeah, I think it'd be neat. I just had to pick one. I couldn't handle doing multiples, and
Well, I didn't know if you had to get both of them. If you're doing like search and rescue, I didn't know if you had to utilize helicopters for search and rescue as well.
no. Civil Air Patrol has fixed wing aircraft,
Oh.
typically like 172s,
That'd be
182.
cool. Have the
Sure.
Gear-Report helicopter.
Well, that would be.
Yeah,
But you'd
Could
have
be.
to get like TCs from like Magnum PI, like the multicolored bubble cup chopper. That would be awesome.
That could be neat. Yeah, I mean, I was going to go with a gunship, but whatever. That could be cool
Listen,
too.
Well, you go with like a
gunship would
53.
be much
53 would be pretty cool. Yeah, we'd go for a 53. Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah. So, man, we're about to hit that hour and 46 minutes.
I know,
The
dude.
magical time we always shut down.
So much
I
for
don't
that
know
half-hour show, huh?
Well, it was
Dude,
fun.
I knew it wasn't going to happen.
We had months of we didn't get to talk on the show. It was all interviews and covering what's been published. Well, I've been too busy to publish anything, hauling tents and crates from the warehouse and other stuff. And with our guest canceling, it really gave us a chance to dig in and have some cool chats about things. So I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate the audience out there. Yeah, Civil Air Patrol is pretty cool because I'm a Sea Scout leader now, and one or two of our scouts are also in Civil Air Patrol, and
Oh, geez.
I know some scout leaders that get pissy when their kids do other stuff, but I was like, you know what? It's awesome. It's a great
You know what it's
program.
all about? Is
Try it.
exposing them to so many things. They don't know what they want to do. Maybe something like that is something they end up being an airline pilot or something because they were exposed to it as a kid. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Try it, learn something from it. See what you like, see what you don't like. I'm all about that. I want them to do everything well enough. Like I do have one or two scouts that are just blowing through. All they care about is advancement. It seems like and I'm like, listen, slow down. Don't be afraid to have a little fun. Yes, you can still earn rank and check things off and progress, but try to allow yourself to have a little bit of fun with what's going on. Oh, it's been a party, Honcho. Believe me, it has been a party.
Apparently not, because he just got here.
Yeah. All right.
But he did give you the appropriate number of yos.
He did, and that's appreciated. We always appreciate when people show
Mhm.
up with the right number of yos.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. With that, I'm gonna buck the trend of going an hour and 46 minutes. We're gonna end it a minute or three early.
Whoa.
On the half-hour version of our show. It is always a party here.
It is.
Just you never know what kind of party it's going to be. So we'll have to see what kind of party it is next time. So until next time, we'll see you at the range.